My biggest fear for Bitcoin is that, like you mentioned, it's still generally a risk asset. Is that most investors in Bitcoin are hanging their hat on the approval of a spot ETF. We've heard even of filings for a spot Ethereum ETF by ARK, and I think there was one other player. But there's no doubt that investors are my bigger concern. And by the way, right now, if you're a bull on Bitcoin, you're hanging in there, and I'm going to tell you why. Because we came down, and it was nasty that we did come down here, but we never took out the low from June, mid-June. And so what you have is you have a low, a higher low, higher low, higher low. And right here, we never took out that low. So technically, you still have a higher low. As long as that holds, you could make a case that, okay, this was a pullback waiting for the spot ETF news. Maybe it can retest that 31 to 32,000 level. If, on the other hand, we break this level, which is around 24,700 and change, and you make a lower low, technically that breaks the uptrend of higher lows, and you have to get very, very nervous. Now, I think that the spot ETF news is going to be a net positive for Bitcoin. My biggest fear for Bitcoin is that the Nasdaq, if the economy slows down like I think it is, the Nasdaq has potential for 20 to 30, maybe 40% downside. And how does Bitcoin hold up in spite of that, right? So if you told me the Nasdaq was going to drop 30%, where is Bitcoin? I would dare say it's a lot lower than it is now because people will be running for cover in all risk assets. And like you mentioned, it's still generally a risk asset. So for me, at least, I'm very cautious here. Doesn't mean I'm not slightly long here and there for swing trades, but I want to see what happens if the Nasdaq starts to fall. We know the Magnificent Seven have started. And I just want to show you this chart. This is a big deal here to me. And I apologize for going into this stuff, but if we go to our weekly chart of the Nasdaq, look at what's happened here. So I basically drew arrows showing the .com era and what the formation was, and look at what we have here. So this was a lot smaller because you didn't have as much quantitative easing in the mix and the COVID money, but you had this big move up, then a pullback, then an epic bounce, and then the big .com collapse. Well, if you look over here in the recent history of this market, it's the exact same formation. And that is very alarming to me because of what happened with the .com collapse and how it kind of played out. So again, these are pattern formations. It doesn't mean it's going to absolutely repeat. But when you look at this stuff, you have to say, this could be something that could play out. There's a probability in there, and it has to be taken seriously by investors.